right, thank you.
Thank you to the Metro Big Band, and good evening and welcome to the 5th annual Black Legend Awards of Silicon Valley. My name is Janice Edwards. I'm an extremely proud member of the Legends class of 2019, and we welcome you here tonight. We are celebrating people whose dedication, passion, and purpose has had impact in our valley and in the world. And I am so honored to be beside the legendary African Jamal Davis. African, nice to see you here again.
Good to see you. Looking wonderful.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
looking marvelous, my dear.
Well, thank you, and you, so handsome, my darling.
So here we are, 2020.
Clarity and vision.
Wow. But on some days it feels like it's 1920. But we ain't gonna go there. We're gonna move forward and have Reverend Jeff Moore come to the stage, please. Sir, would you please bless the food that they've already eaten?
Exactly.
Lift Every Voice and Sing has just been played, and we know that we're celebrating 120 years of the song. First sang by 500 school children in Jacksonville, Florida. It is an NAACP national anthem that we have every year that we sing. And if I could please just ask for a moment of silence for those of you know we have lost some of our legends. Tommy James Fulcher is no longer with us. We know that Judge Steve Stevenson passed away on a day ago. And our very own Wilbur Jackson lost his son just a week or so ago. So if we could just have a moment of silence before we pray. Amen. Now, I just want to say that, you know, as a younger, well, I'm 61 now. So we're not here to take your torches to our older generation. We're here to stand next to you with your torch and make a brighter torch, and to bring young people around us to make an even brighter torch. Because going into this 2020 fall, there's a big torch that we must have. I encourage you to reach out and call everyone back home and down in the woods to get out and vote. As you know, I attended the State of the Union address just this past Tuesday or so. And I'm going to tell you the racism is thick in the house. You could walk through it and you could feel it. So if you don't make phone calls to those in the South and to the East Coast, when I was there, they were more concerned about go-go music than they were about actually voting. Let us go to the throne. Father God, we come before you, Lord, asking that you open up the windows of heaven, lean out over the battlements of glory, send down your twins, mercy and grace, oh God. Father God, we are thankful for our legends here, oh Lord. We are thankful for those who paved the road, those who carried the bricks, those whose backs we stand on, oh Lord. Father, we pray for this program right now, for your honorees, oh Lord, and for all the work that they have done and continue to do, oh Lord. We ask that you bless this here people and Aaron and the rest of the board as they continue to work to build this museum that they see coming forth, oh God. We ask for the bowels of mercy, oh Lord, that you imbued in this people the right spirit to vote for those that died fighting to get us this right, that we would stand up and come out. Let the elders take their rightful places. Lead us, for it is said, the young horses can run quick, but the old horses know the road. Lord, we ask right now that you give us the old horses to come beside us and help guide us and lead us into this battlefield of the fall. Father, bless this program for their and all those participants. In the matchless name of Jesus the Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Amen.
Reverend Moore. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Moore.
Now we have a video presentation that we'd like for you to check out.
Beginning in the late 1700s, African Americans slowly began migrating to California. Most residents came from southern and midwestern states looking for opportunities. By 1890, Santa Clara Valley became the third largest African American population in California. From 1880 to the mid-1950s, the Santa Clara Valley was predominantly a large farm community that fed the metropolitan areas and industrial centers of San Francisco and Oakland. Most African Americans participated in the local agricultural industry. They lived in the downtown San Jose community called the North Side, an area around 10th and Julian Streets. Beyond San Jose's North Side, African Americans were building communities in Alum Rock, San Jose, Lakewood, Santa Clara, Mountain View Park, and downtown Palo Alto. African Americans worked in downtown San Jose and Palo Alto as domestics, entrepreneurs, laborers, service workers, and skilled tradesmen. However, San Jose offered them greater opportunities to be homeowners and entrepreneurs. While experiencing discrimination, African Americans living in Santa Clara Valley learned to survive by remaining united and adapting to their circumstances. They sustained themselves by believing that the Santa Clara Valley was a relatively racially tolerant region. Santa Clara Valley African Americans in the early 20th century put their faith in quality education for their children, their churches, and social clubs. Institution building was important to them. These institutions ensured that most African Americans in the area knew one another, which united their community and created a system of solidarity. Despite the hardships and adversity they faced, they took on the model of deeds, not words, as they went to work establishing and displaying their talents, skills, and traits. Deeds, not words, brought forth leaders who helped to build Santa Clara Valley. Their sacrifice, bold intentions, and great works have allowed us and the entire South Bay to live in and enjoy the now bursting, prosperous area that we call Silicon Valley today. This is why we honor them. Welcome to the 5th annual commemorative Black Legend Awards ceremony. This is a collaborative event produced by 3 of the oldest African American organizations in the Silicon Valley area: the Joyner Payne Youth Services Agency, the Silicon Valley Black Chamber of Commerce, and the African American Community Services Agency. These 3 organizations have joined in a dynamic vision to establish the San Jose Black History Museum, Silicon Valley. With this vision in mind, an annual Black Legend Awards ceremony is produced to honor inductees into the Black Legends Hall of Fame, Silicon Valley. And now, a word from the Black Legend Awards chairman.
Good evening. Welcome to the 5th Annual Black Legends Award. Congratulations to the 10 awardees and the 1 community organization this evening for being inducted into the Silicon Valley Black Legends Hall of Fame. This induction ceremony brings the total members in the Black Legends Hall of Fame to 72, 69 individual awards, and 3 community organizations representing your community. As you read and hear about these Black pioneers this evening, remember their stories, remember the journey, remember the accomplishment that they made on their way. Everyone talks about the destination, but it's not the destination, it's the journey to get where you're going. You must remember that the Black Legends Award is part of a bigger goal, that is to build a Black History Museum in San Jose that talks about the Afro-American journey in the Silicon Valley and around the world and in North America all combined, an education institution that we can share with others. The plan for the museum is to have 6 exhibits. The museum currently consists of 3 exhibits: the Hooper Collection, Blacks in Space, and Carissa's Moore Afro-American Journey. If you would like to visit the museum, it's by appointment only, so call our office to make an appointment so that you can share in the history and the journey that we're creating. We are part of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Our story is the Silicon Valley story, and we're very excited to tell our story. Your support for this evening is providing energy, providing drive, and enthusiasm to keep building. Help us build this San Jose Black History Museum, because it will be a place to behold. As we continue this evening, I want to thank you for attending this event during your Black History celebration. Thank you for coming, and tell others about this great event. And now at this time, let's meet the class of 2020.
Welcome to the 5th Annual Black Legend Awards. Join me as we honor the class of 2020. Brian Monroe, Xander Green Award for News and Documentary. Robert Pointer, Banks Gage Award for Education. Joseph F. Bass, Brown Gross Award, Public Service. Steve Jackson, Clay Williams, Business and Entrepreneur. Antoinette McCoy, Dean Green Award, DEM. Dr. Edward Anderson, the English Higgins Award for Health and Medicine. Ulysses Beasley, Hardeman Sweet Award, Law and Justice. Pastor Paul Baines, the Harris Washington Award, Spiritual. Betty A. Howard, Joyner's Brother Award, Community Service. Cosetta Gray Gwen, Piper Y Award, Art, Theater, and Music. And the Community Organization Award. And now, your host for this evening's ceremony, Janice Edwards and African Davies.
Wow, Wow, that's quite an introduction, and I
it
love
was.
the cheering. Do you hear how everyone has their own section in the house, and yet you're generously cheering for all of the awardees?
Yes,
So
beautiful.
once again, we welcome you, we celebrate you, and I am excited because now it's time for our first award of the evening.
Yes.
It is the Alexander Green News and Documentary. And as the 2019 inductee, I was so honored to nominate the person who actually is receiving the award this evening. It's been a pleasure to see his career, to know him, and he's an amazing person. But to hear more about him, please welcome to the stage with the cheers, just as you had them earlier, from the class of 2018, Henrietta Burroughs, who received the Alexander Green News and Documentary Award that year.
Thank you so much. Talking about honors, it was an honor for me as a legend to have introduced Janice when she received the award last year. And it is indeed an honor as a journalist and as a legend to have this opportunity to introduce an outstanding journalist. Brian Monroe is outstanding by anybody's standards. Not only is he a journalist, he is an entrepreneur, and he is an educator. And of course, you can read far more about him in the bio that's in the Black Legends Awards souvenir booklet, but I'll just highlight a few things about him from the booklet. He was the editor of CNNpolitics.com, where he was responsible for the digital side of CNN's political coverage. He was the deputy managing editor at the San Jose Mercury News and was later named assistant vice president at Knight Ridder, where he was responsible for half of the group's 16 newsrooms. He helped lead the team of journalists who won the 2006 Pulitzer Prize for their coverage of Hurricane Katrina. He joined the Johnson Publishing Company in 2006 as the vice president and editorial director of Ebony and Jet magazines. And while he was there, I am sure you will remember, if you remember nothing else about him, maybe, that he conducted the very last interview with Michael Jackson just before Michael's death. And he also conducted the very first interview with President-elect Barack Obama 1 week after he was elected the president. So Brian was the 16th president of the National Association of Black Journalists, which he served for 2 years, from 2005 to 2007. He was the Verizon Chair Professor at Temple University's Klein School of Media and Communications, the Visiting Professor at Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism, and he is the founder and managing director of the Monroe Media Group in Washington, D.C. So there is so much more that can be said about him, but it's time to present Brian Monroe and let him address us.
Thank you for such a wonderful honor. I am really blessed to be here and be back here in San Jose and Silicon Valley. It's been a while. But thank you for everyone who's here, to Janice for the nomination, to fellow awardees sitting in front of you. You've got some amazing, amazing folks here. To my brothers in the 100 Black Men, any hundreds in here? Yeah, there we go. I really appreciate it. My family's here. My dad, Major General James Monroe's here, and two-star general retired. And my lovely girlfriend, Abrielle Anderson. She's an attorney in D.C. And I have lots of friends and family, and of course, my little baby is here. My son, Jackson Monroe, is here. He came all the way up from LA, where he just graduated from high school and now is working on the Bloomberg campaign. So he's hustling out there. I also, really wanted to say thank you to the spirit of Silicon Valley, and specifically to all the nameless and faceless Black men and women who persevered to help get us this far. We have indeed come a long way, but we're still not there yet. To the Black programmers and engineers, the attorneys and accountants, the clerks and custodians, the Teamsters and the teachers, in their own way, they taught us to take risks, to take chances, but don't take no stuff. To my colleagues at the Mercury News, like fellow awardee Loretta Green and David Early, who did some amazing journalism. We won a few awards, made a little bit of history ourselves, but as you've seen, the newspaper business has changed, and it's changing pretty dramatically. We're not there yet. My friends and colleagues at Knight Ridder, remember the old Knight Ridder across the street? It's no longer, but the spirit of that journalism still lives on. And even as the changes that company went through, I guess the company that bought them, McClatchy, just filed for bankruptcy last week. So there's all kinds of changes there. My friends and colleagues at Ebony and Jet magazines, where we spent several years, and now the former Johnson Publishing, we helped make history there. From showing you the inner workings of the Obama campaign to the last days of Michael Jackson. We told the stories, our stories, of Black America and the voice that only we can speak. But even that voice has become muted. We need to look to the next generation to keep that voice alive. And we need to look at Silicon Valley today, that yes, we have come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. In hiring and the presence of African Americans in technology, it's still pretty pitiful. At Google, there's only 2% of the employees there who are African American. At Facebook, it's not much better. Overall in Silicon Valley, 3% of employees are African American compared to non-tech businesses where it's something like 24%. We know that we as African Americans over-index for media consumption, for data use, but we're still not represented in the boardrooms and in the leaderships of those organizations. We still have a long way to go. But as my friend and radio host Joe Madison said, as Pastor was talking earlier about that torch, he said, is he ready to pass the torch? He was like, oh, heck no. I worked too hard to get this torch. I'm not going to pass it. But what I want to do is light the next torch, light the next folks who can then take that light and go forward. So to all of the talent here in front of us and the young talent coming up, it's ready to light that next torch. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations again, Brian. Yeah. It's so wonderful to have 3 generations of Monroes in the house tonight as Brian receives his award.
And General, thank you for your service. So thank you very much.
You,
we do have a long way to go, and we need to tell our story, and we need to be more in touch with our history. And we do it in pockets. We need to spread it out. Who knew? Who knows? So we need to be more vigilant in making sure that our story is told. So now our next award, we are the people of the blues, too. I want to say that. And we have a significant relationship with the drum.
I love that you brought it here tonight because we know what the drum invokes.
I brought the drum. Yes, the drum comes in many forms in the African American diaspora and our villages and communities, Black radio, churches, the barbershop.
It's a
Those are
clarion
drums.
call.
Those are drums.
Yes.
So anyway, our next award is the Banks Gage Award. Receiving this award is Robert Pointer, and presenting this award to him is legend Norma Callender from the class of 2019, and she received the Joyner Strouder Award for Community Service. Give her a round of applause, please.
I see Bob all the time. I didn't give him a clue that I would have the honor of presenting this award to him. Bob is my Sunday school teacher. He is my mentor. He is a wonderful friend. I wish I could read his entire bio, but we were asked not to do that tonight. But I just want to give you a few of the wonderful highlights about my dear Bob. Bob was among the original teachers when Silver Creek High School was first opened in 1969. He currently is serving, as I said, as a Sunday school teacher at Emmanuel Baptist Church. Bob was an All-American track sprinter at San Jose State University, and he was the third fastest man in the world in 1959. You can find that on the net. That's how I found out. Bob coached 2 Olympic gold medalists and several All-American track athletes, and he's on his way to train a few more, including his darling grandson. Bob advocates for athletes to use their athletics to foster their education and career needs. Under his significant, he's got a whole lot of them, but I will name a few. Bob was inducted, he has been inducted prior to tonight into 3 halls of fame. So I'm not exaggerating. Bob coached and helped to establish the first women's track team at San Jose College.
All right.
Bob received High School Teacher of the Year award on 3 different occasions. These types of areas I don't like to go and edit out. I want to tell you how he really thinks when it comes to creativity, started from nothing that grew into something greater. Bob said, "Life is like a relay race. Keep passing the baton to the next runner and keep running toward the finish line of success." He is best known for inspiring others and constantly reminding them that education is the key to success. His philosophy of life: our relationships with others affect our experience with God. And I believe that. The advice Bob would provide to students on the journey of life today, Bob said, surround yourself with good and godly people so you too can become a legend and leave behind a legacy. It gives me great privilege and honor to bring up to the stage now Robert, AKA Bobby Pointer.
Okay, I was really nervous about this, and I have received a lot of awards in my life, but this one is something that's very special to me. But before I start, I have been very blessed in my life, and the reason I'm blessed is because I'd like to acknowledge some special people. My family. I've received awards from when I was in junior high school all the way up through now in my senior age. And I've always had a great family, and I've had an outstanding wife who supported me, a son, a daughter, grandchildren, nephews, cousins, and a lot of former students who believed in me, and they actually listened to what I said, which was amazing. because nowadays you're not sure whether they're listening or not. And I'd also like to pay homage to my parents. My parents, they died at a very early age, so they never got a chance to see their son develop into something that people look at it as being special. My mother died in her 50s, and my father died. My mother was a maid, and she worked her whole life, for that. She didn't get a chance to finish school. My dad did finish school, but he worked as a janitor, so they didn't get a chance to see me and all the things that I had been involved with. They read about it, they kept up with it, and they supported it. But at this time, I am so blessed, and I'd like to thank the Santa Clara Black Legends for including me, just a regular person, in your midst at this time. Now, as far as my educational philosophy, I've had a variety of jobs in my life. And, I worked for the Job Corps. I was a counselor. I worked for Head Start. I was a social worker. And I worked in the U.S. Army. I was drafted in special service, traveling around the world. And had a lot of recreation with the poor kids and the rich kids and all of them together. And so what that did was it created a certain philosophy, because when I started teaching in 1969, I came from an integrated high school, and what I saw there was that a lot of times African-American students, they graduate, they participate, but they don't participate in much. So when I got to Silver Creek, what they did was they decided to have me teach U.S. history, world history, African American history, which I never had a course in, so I had to learn it as I went. But my philosophy was that you had to know about yourself. If you didn't know about yourself, you don't know anything. And so that was what I always preached to them, that they had to know themselves. And I insisted that they do well, and they participate in everything in the school, even though you're outmanned. And that's what they did. You saw Reverend Moore, one of my students. I have Millard Hampton, who's an Olympic champion. One of my students, I had him all day long. And I founded the BSU. Didn't know what that was. But I know that Silver Creek had 12% black. I had everybody. And so I have a long history. And one thing I can say is that I never thought I'd be teaching Sunday school, but I'm teaching that, so I've been teaching for over 50 years of education. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank, all of you for being here and for nominating me, because this is a special moment in my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations.
Yes.
And I just got to say, legend Norma Callender, she's wearing the hell out of that hat. Can we say hell on this?
You just did.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right.
It is a lovely hat, and there's a wonderful story that goes with that hat as well that Ms. Callender was sharing. But yes, indeed, lovely. And our next award is the Brown Gross Award for Public Service. And the person who is going to present this award is a legend herself, and actually her African-American theater ensemble, Tabia, is celebrating its 35th anniversary this month. There's a special, exactly, wow. I think that deserves applause.
Yes,
and there's a special exhibit at the San Jose Dr. Martin Luther King Library, and actually we did a show about it too that's coming up. So she is legend Viera Y, class of 2015. The Piper Y Award is named in her honor and Dr. Piper's, and that award is in art, theater, and music. Viera Y.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I'm making sure I'm in place so I can keep us moving along. Okay. So it's my pleasure to present the Brown Gross Public Service Award to Joseph F. Bass. Mr. Bass is from Phoenix City, Alabama, and moved to Silicon Valley in 1961. He has an extensive career as a professional engineer in Salinas and in San Jose, so you can see his bio in the program, so I'm just going to do some highlights. He was a principal civil engineer in San Jose and retired from the city of San Jose in July 1992. Mr. Bass developed the travel forecast model for the city of San Jose and oversaw the computerization of the travel forecast model. He was part of the committee to establish the NAACP annual banquet in 1981, which became a social focal point for our Black community for many years. He served on the board of the San Juan Bautista Child Development Center, and he was also a member of the 100 Black Men and was involved in many of its civic and education programs. He currently is a member of the Barack Obama Street Naming Committee, whose goal is to have a prominent downtown street named after our 44th president. Can we do that, y'all? Yeah. Some of the things he is best known for as a contact and/or coordinator between the African American community and the city, county, and state governments. His philosophy of life is to believe that our journey through life is not predestined. We can influence it by what we do and don't do. The advice he has for students: learn all you can about history and science. Regardless of your profession, it is always helpful to know the what and why of things, and to develop your communication skills. Learn to make lemonade. We will always be challenged to make the best of a bad situation, and don't burn bridges. As satisfying as it may seem at the moment, you never know when you may have to retreat or your new paths may cross down the road. I present Mr. Joseph F. Bass.
You know, before coming here, I had prepared some remarks I thought would be appropriate. They still are, but sitting here and listening to the other people changed some of that. The first thing I want to do is to thank the committee for selecting me and congratulate all of the recipients. And I was thinking about that and realized when that presentation was made, I worked with a lot of those people and knew most of them. And while we were doing what we were doing, I don't think anybody thought of themselves as a legend. You're just doing what needed to be done. So I appreciate the recognition and thank those people along the way and congratulate those. But each of us never thought that we were doing what we were doing by ourselves. You did it, and then when you finished, you went on to do something else. But none of us did it alone or got to where we were alone. I want to thank those people who helped me most in my life. And they're familiar names. My grandmother. My grandmother, her name was Rebecca. She was a community child development center all by herself. People call her Ma Becky. And she raised me till I was 10 years old. My mom was very young and socially active, shall we say. And she wasn't 17 years old when I was born, so my grandmother raised me. My grandmother never went further than the 3rd grade. But it was interesting. One of the most prominent message I remember her is telling me, Joe Frank, that's my given name, by the way. Joe Frank, go to school and get an education. And I remembered that and tried to follow that path as much as I could because it was very important to her. My mother, of course, beautiful, very hardworking, socially active, but she was a strong woman, determined. And in 1947, she decided that she wanted to be in California. So she left Alabama and moved to California. And a year later, after she got a job with Greyhound and she rented a cabin in a migrant workers camp. And she came back and got me in 1948. And we lived there. I tell people this is kind of hard to believe, but that cabin in the migrant worker camp was better than the house we had in Alabama. It had electricity, for one thing, and Mom had a radio, which we never had. I think I'd heard about radios, but I'd never had one. And now I was an only child, and she told me, she said, Joe Frank, I have to work. You're going to school. You can't get in trouble. And it worked out. Mom got married sometime in the period of time after we were in California, but it didn't last. But in 1953, she met and eventually married the man who I call father. His name was Jewel, and he was a jewel. Because of him, we were able to settle down in Salinas, California, 3 blocks away from Hartnell College. And I was able to do what my Becky wanted me to do. And in 1958, some similar things happened in my life. I graduated from Hartnell. I went to work for the city of Salinas. And I got engaged to the woman who made my life worthwhile. And she's sitting right there. So she's the 4th one. She has done so much in my life. As I said, she made it worthwhile. Now, I'm not going to take all the time to tell you the ways that she's made it worthwhile. In fact, she cautioned me, and right now she's sitting there wondering if I'm going to say all the things that I told her I was going to say. And I obviously don't have time to, honey, but I want to say, if it isn't obvious, she's the love of my life. And she knows this, but I tell you, she's also the light in my world.
Oh, such a beautiful tribute.
Yeah, that was sweet. That was...
Yes, such a beautiful tribute to love.
Wow. Well, you know, yesterday was Valentine's Day. and I brought my Valentine with me tonight.
Aww.
So I can relate to my man.
Yes, I think so.
Because behind every great man is a powerful woman.
And your Valentine, your lovely wife, is amazing,
She is amazing.
Yes.
Well, she's going to have a discussion with me for bringing all this up.
Well, right now
Yeah,
she's beaming.
To be continued.
To be continued. And we do want to mention that each recipient tonight, each legend is receiving commendations from the State Senate as well, in addition to the award. Those are the red folders that you see, and we're very appreciative of that. And at this time, we do want to welcome our public officials who are with us. And African, you want to mention the first one you see?
Senator Jim Beall. Would you come to the stage, sir? All right, he's waving his hand.
Yes.
One of those political waves.
Yes. Come on up. Yes.
Come on.
As we say here, come on down. And we appreciate the support from our political officials.
It's my pleasure to be here at your outstanding event, Honor the Legends. And as a member of the California State Senate, I have, for every member that's been honored today, a resolution from the California State Senate. So thank you very much for all the different categories. I wanted to say, as especially following Joe Bass, as chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee and having served on the City Council for 14 years with Joe Bass. Joe Bass was the preeminent traffic engineer in the city of San Jose and probably in Santa Clara County. So in terms of his professional accomplishments, he was the guy that worked out all the designs for all the road systems and the traffic planning for the city of San Jose. So a lot of people don't realize that about Joe Bass. So when he came to me and said, Jim, I need your help on naming the boulevard after Obama, I said, I'm all in. So we're going to get that done, Joe. Keep working at it. You know, it's important to honor the legends in the sense that so many different categories. And as a community leader, in my last year of 39 years of elected service, this is my 39th year, I'll end up with 40 years and that'll be it for me. So thank you everybody for voting for me. And thank you for helping me, giving me advice. And I was talking to my wife about Joe Bass, and she said, you've known Joe since the 70s, right? It's like all those years. So thank you very much. These are people I've worked with for many, many years in my service as an elected official. And it just makes it better that we all work together, right? Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Bill.
I don't know who I'm going to give this to.
Aaron.
We have a resolution from the California Legislature, the State Senate, for the Black Legend Awards of Silicon Valley. Today, we're honoring you, and we will honor you the rest of the year, too. We won't forget you. So, here, I'd like to do that.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you, Senator, for the award. And like you said, each one of the awardees is getting a proclamation also. So I'll give them a round of applause for that also. All right.
Yes. Thank you so much, Senator, for your support. And we'd like to invite to the stage Assemblymember Kansen Chu.
All right.
Thank you very much. My name is Kansen Chu. I'm the state assembly member representing North San Jose, Milpitas, Santa Clara, and Fremont and Newark. It's really a great honor to be here with all of you. I want to thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to congratulate all the honorees to be inducted in this Black Hall of Fame. It's really, really touching to hear all your stories. Many of you may know that I came to the United States as a graduate student with 2 casefuls of textbook, and it was in Chinese, by the way. I haven't taught to anybody. So I'll be able to elected to serve the community as a Berryessa school board member and served as the San Jose City Council for 8 years. Now I'm finishing up my 6 years as the State Assembly. I know in my heart that I will not be able to get to where I am without standing on the shoulders of all the legends. Seriously. So I'm really, really appreciate it, and thank you very much for your contribution to our community. And I'm very excited that we're getting this Black History Museum together. So I'm a kind of a history buff, although I'm an engineering major. I think we need to teach not just our second generations of our children here. We need to teach the newcomers, like I am, to learn about the contribution, the sacrifice, and the achievement that you all have. Thank you very much for having me here. You know, I could have prepared a resolution, but I want to save your tax dollar. So they're not here yet. I'll go back to my office and make sure that every honoree will at least receive a certificate of a recognition from my office. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's so good to see you, Assemblymember Chu. Always so supportive.
So now we need to be supervised. So should we bring up a supervisor?
Yes, I think that's
Okay.
a great idea.
Dave Cortez, would you please step up on the
Supervisor
stage?
Dave Cortese, we're excited to
Supervisor.
have you here. Welcome.
Well, good evening. What an honor it is to be here again this year representing the entire Board of Supervisors, because that's what I'm doing. It's certainly not about me, and you'll see with these commendations, which are really resolutions adopted by the entire Board of Supervisors, that all 5 signatures are on there, recognizing the honorees tonight, recognizing, in a sense, all the past honorees, and I think, as I said once before, really representing the entire contributions, a body of work of so many people in this audience and those who have come before us and those who are continuing to carry this community on their shoulders. Thank you so much for everything that you have done as a community within the community. The Black Legend Awards, first of all, wouldn't be happening without the 3 primary organizations that have sponsored the event this year, but also not without Wilbur Jackson. And I want to present him the first of 2 resolutions here that I brought with me. And this acknowledges the work that's been done to recognize people who are from all walks of life who are recognized and awarded these awards, such as the 10 tonight, from sports, the arts, medicine, and so many different professions and walks of life, as I said. But Wilbur, we appreciate your efforts in organizing. The elected officials get a bird's eye view of how much work people like Wilbur Jackson do to pull all of this together. So here's to the Black Legends Award. Wilbur, let me present this one to you. This next one is a commendation, posthumously, of course, of recognizing or honoring Betty A. Howard. I knew her well. Cindy Chavez knew her well. And Cindy couldn't be here tonight because she had to travel to do some education stuff with her son. But she asked me to present this on her behalf. Again, it's really on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors. You know, when I reflect on Betty and her persistence and her leadership skills at a grassroots level, I realize, first of all, that it was an extreme privilege for me to have known her, number one. But number two, how much further ahead we would be, especially when it comes to early childhood learning and childcare, had she lived on. Because she would not take no for an answer. She was pushing and pushing and pushing elected officials literally on a daily basis, and that is not an exaggeration. And I don't think you could get a dissenting vote on the Board of Supervisors, to put a revenue measure on the ballot, or do whatever you needed to do to take care of the young children in this community if Betty was around. Because she, as somebody famously said, spoke softly but carried a big stick. And that's just my own anecdotal remembrance of her. She has a resume that we base this commendation on. A legacy would be a better way to put it, I suppose, today, that goes on for pages, pages. So with that, I know you're not here to hear my speeches, but I did want to extend a little bit of personal reflection in this particular case to somebody I think about every time a child care issue comes up before the Board of Supervisors, Betty Howard. Wilbur, would you please accept this and extend it to the family? Thank you.
We gladly thank the award to the Black Legends Award and all the workers that have done things, because it takes a team to do all of this, not just me. And everyone know I'm just a crazy guy. Marilyn, I got it. You get it. Everyone, it's cold, but she'll tell you about it later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Thank you, Supervisor Cortese, for your continued support and the incredible commendations there.
We have so many unsung heroes. Probably a few sitting out there in the audience right now that's deserving of this award, and we'll get to you. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Now it's our pleasure to invite to the stage Vice Mayor Charles Chappie Jones. Please give him a warm Black Legend welcome.
Nice groove.
You like your walk-on music.
I'm telling you. Well, first of all, I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day weekend. Hopefully, most of the guys out in the audience are in the penthouse and not in the doghouse. So I feel for you if you're in the doghouse. You know, I can't believe it's been over 5 years when and Aaron and Howard came to me and said, you know, we have this idea of a Black Legends Award and a museum. And you know when someone comes to you with an idea like that, and you don't want to like rain on their parade or dampen their enthusiasm, so you say to yourself, you know, good luck with that. And that's exactly what I was thinking. I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was thinking. And so they persisted, and I remember the first event and how hard they worked and didn't quite get the turnout that they were anticipating or the support that they were anticipating, but I remember that didn't dampen their enthusiasm, their drive, their mission. And it's inspiration for all of us in terms of the perseverance, which really speaks to the perseverance of the Black legends. You know, we often talk about how we stand on the shoulders of legends, and I think about all the barriers, obstacles, and challenges that our Black legends have overcome, and I say to myself, you know, it's time for them and for us to lighten their burden. If we're standing on their shoulders, maybe it's time for us to lift them up on our shoulders. So I want to say to you today that, you know, we're going to do everything we can to recognize, honor, and celebrate all the sacrifices, all the challenges, all the disappointment and heartbreak, and all the victories and just the glory that our legends have shown us. Also, we need to educate our young folks in terms of the contribution that the African American community has played in Silicon Valley. That story is not being told. It needs to be told. It needs to be told for future generations. Because I'm telling you, if you look at the black population in Silicon Valley, we're down to 2.5%. 10 years from now, it might be 1.5 or even less. If we're not here to tell our story, somebody will tell our story with that museum and this award. So on behalf of Mayor Sam Liccardo, the San Jose City Council, and myself, Vice Mayor Chappie Jones, I want to give a commendation to Aaron Hicks and the committee for their outstanding achievement and all their hard work and effort to make this a great event. So thank you.
Ain't no picture taking. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to add one more clarification. It was mentioned that behind every successful black legend man, there's a strong woman. We need to change that. Beside every successful black male legend is a strong woman. So I just want to make sure that we got that straight. All right? Thank you.
All right. Okay. We thank you. We accept the award and thank you for the work you do. He's been with us for the whole 5 years and keep motivating us. So I always give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Like I said, beside every strong black man is a strong black woman. Isn't that what I said?
That's what you said.
Oh, okay, I'm just checking in, just checking in. One thing for sure that we can always reference and get to and understand and appreciate and feel is music. There's always a song to sing. Music is in the fabric of our culture, and the soundtracks of our lives is music. So I think the conductor, who also is a legend himself, Galvin Jackson, class of 2017, who was given the Brown Gross Award for Public Service, he probably should have gotten 2 awards, one for that and one for being in the arts and theater and music and all that.
That's true. Amazing.
Well, we'll give him a verbal one, okay? You just got it, legend. Stand up and take a bow.
And now enjoy Metro Big Band, led by legend Galvin Jackson. Thank you, Galvin Jackson and the Metro Big Band.
Yeah. That was nice.
Very nice. Our next award is the Clay Williams Award for Business and Entrepreneur. And here to present the award, please welcome back to the stage Legend Viera Y. Again, she's class of 2015 for the Piper Y Award in Art, Theater, and Music. Viera.
So this is a little close for me. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of Diana Ross, since you're going to see me so much. Anybody notice? Okay. So I'm pleased to introduce the Clay Williams Business and Entrepreneur Award to Mr. Steve Jackson. Steve hails from Delta, Louisiana, and came to San Jose in 1961. He was a professional Greyhound bus driver and a nightclub owner, which is how we all know him. Steve brought his first nightclub, 3+1, in 1985 and sold it in 1999. I used to party there as a young woman. He briefly retired in 1999, and he bought and opened another bar and nightclub, the Blue Note Lounge in Milpitas, which is currently running, and the name was recently changed in 2018 to The Note. Steve has contributed to the African American community over the past 30 years in many different ways. He began holding the after luncheon for the MLK Freedom Train, and he held the luncheon each year since the late 80s after the Freedom Train, and continues each year holding the luncheon after the MLK luncheon. So I know some of us go there to party after the luncheon. Steve has allowed different African American fraternities to host events at 3+1, the Ski Club, Fire and Ice to raise money for their different fundraisers back in the 90s, and many different agencies have used his facilities. Steve has provided many African American people employment over his 30 years. He wanted each of his businesses to be geared towards giving the African American community a place to mingle among African Americans. Steve also employed many cooks, one being the late great Lady Eve from Oakland, Lady Esther's Soul Food. Steve allowed many African American people to start their businesses in 3+1, including the Old Norma's Living Room in Milpitas. He gave several notable DJs and bands some of their first regular and consistent gigs in Silicon Valley, and he helped to promote them, to name a few, including the late great DJ Ebonite, Malden Hopkins, Spider D, and the Cowboy, Don Mitchell, as DJs. He employed many of these bands, including Clifford Coulter, Jesse James, Faye Carroll, Ron E. Beck, and Terry Lundy. Steve has a heart of gold for the African American community and has included always loaning money, assisting with funeral expenses for customers, helping with hospital bills, sponsored by customers. And he never met, but as long as they were doing well in school and involved in something positive. Creativity. Steve has no college or business education, but has the longest tenured Black business owner in Silicon Valley for the past 34 years. His philosophy in life is to keep things simple and treat people the way you want to be treated. His advice for students: follow your dreams. Don't be afraid to fail, because failure is a temporary thing if you keep working on it. I present Mr. Steve Jackson.
I don't know how I can follow that, but anyway, I'd like to thank God, the Black legend, and last but not least, the 5 women in my life. Being my wife of 61 years, Lorraine, and the 4 other women in my life, I don't know where they are now, but anyway, they're here. Felisa, Lisa, Sharon, and Michelle. Michelle has been known as Little Steve. I guess that's because she's in charge now, I guess. At least she thinks so. But anyway, I'd like to thank again, the legend for this award. I didn't go into this business thinking that I'd ever be in a place like this, standing here before somebody telling them how proud I am to receive an award like this. I got this thing because this was before I learned that little thing about be careful what you wish for. I drive down the road working at Greyhound. I was always seeing these little bars and nice lounges. And I said, you know, I'd like to have one of those. And I kept saying that and kept saying, and sure enough, in 1985, 3 other guys were going to buy 3+1, but they needed one more to complete the deal. So I was the one, hence 3+1. Now, 5 years later, I was wishing to go back to Greyhound, but that didn't happen. So some 30-odd years later, here I am again. Now, I don't know if I won't say that, but anyway, I'm not gonna go through the whole 3 minutes that we got, and I'd like to, but any 3 minutes that I would took would probably take 3 hours, 3 days, or whatever, because I have some stories to tell about that. But for instance, this bio that the lady just read, I didn't see it until just now. And I'm thinking to myself, that's too much information. You know, I never would have done that, and I probably wouldn't approve, but little Steve can tell you about that. And I bet she's kind of responsible for a lot of that information that was on there. But again, I'd like to thank the legend and thank the customers and the people that I've had over the years. And in thanking them, I think they taught me a lot. I became an educator, psychologist, you name them. I listened to all of it, and I had to. And most of all, I became a good listener, because in a business like that, you had to listen to people and listen to what they had to say, because, well, you had to listen. In order to keep the customer, you listened. but at any rate, I want to thank you again for this award. And I don't know much else to say about that. Of course, I got a lot I could say, but this is a kind of an awkward position for me to be in, because in the business that I'm in, with Greyhound and this business, you meet a lot of people, you see a lot of people all the time, but I've always been kind of not standoffish, but kind of in the background a little bit. And this is, I'm sweating now. I don't know because of the lights or what. But at any rate, again, I thank you. And one more thing, when I got into the business, the first business, which was 3+1, I said something about 3 people and me being the one. I'd like to mention 1 or 2 people that were there when I got there, and that was Cookie. We call her Cookie. Marion Cozine was her name. We called her Cookie. And then was Keith. When we got the business, they came with the business, you know. And I always kind of joked about it. I would always say, how can you open a bar or a lounge and you don't have Cookie serving drinks? Now, since that time, I only hired 1 girl, and that was Kat. We call her Kat. Her name was Catherine, but she was affectionately known as Kat to us. She passed away about 1.5 years ago, but she was with me for over 30 years. And over the years, I've had a number of people that worked, and I developed this thing about not firing people. And that's been kind of like, well, I don't know how you say it now, but you get a little older and you soften up a bit. But over the years, though, I've had a chance to meet a lot of people, a lot of good friends, and I want to thank them and you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Steve, and yes, we can imagine there are days and days of great stories he could tell.
That entrepreneurial is such a great thing. That spirit of being an entrepreneur and building something from nothing is a very powerful thing. I was a part of that, or grew up in that. I'm from the home of Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And if you know anything about that community, yes, Greenwood, Arch, and Pine, baby. I remember them days. That's Gap Band. That's Gap
Yes,
Band. You know who
right.
Gap Band is?
Yes.
Gap Band is from the streets of Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. That's where Gap came from. So anyway, I digress, I guess, and let's get on with it.
We know you have days and days of stories, too.
I got stories. I got
know.
stories. So it's now time for the Dean Green Award and the STEM Award, STEM. And that's an acronym for what?
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
That's easy for you to say. And
sometimes there's also STEAM, which has the arts. But,
okay.
But this is the STEM.
STEM. So legend Henrietta Burroughs, she's going to present the Alexander.
She
she
received the Alexander Green Award
in news and documentary. How you doing there, young lady?
I am fine.
Yes.
And I can tell
Nice
you
to see
all
you
are
again.
too. I know. Some of us you
Yes.
see again.
So you're here to introduce.
I am here to introduce Antoinette McCoy.
All right.
And it's very hard. Gee, she has her cheering section. But it's very hard to find anyone more worthy to receive the Dean Green STEM Award than Antoinette McCoy. Antoinette is a patent license manager at NASA Ames Research Center, where she makes NASA's inventions available to those who can use its innovations to advance health, safety, science, and technology for public benefit. She was born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, received a BS in Business Administration from the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and shortly after arriving at NASA Ames Research Center, she earned an MBA degree from Golden Gate University, which was a benefit paid entirely by NASA, where she has worked for the past 26 years. And you have to give people credit. I mean, anyone who can work someplace for 26 years and survive the politics or the infighting or the competition deserves an award. Antoinette has made sizable contributions to the NASA community and to the larger San Jose community through her volunteer work. As you will see in your program, she is best known for her optimistic outlook, her youthful spirit, her willingness to help, and her warm smile. And here is the booklet that you can read more about her. So let's give a rousing hand of applause for Antoinette McCoy.
Tall lady here. First, giving honor and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for through him all things are possible. I'd like to thank the selection committee for choosing me for this award. I'd also like to thank the person who nominated me, legend Karen Bradford. I'd also like to thank my son, Aaron Price. He didn't want me to mention his name, but he has decided to study aviation. Yes. So he's a senior and he's heading to college in the fall. And my daughter, Kaya Simone, who's not here, but she's at Grambling State University. Yeah. I'd also like to thank my sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the San Jose chapter. I'd also like to thank my sisters of the Lynx chapter in San Jose. I'd also like to recognize and thank members of the National Panhellenic Council, for it is which these organizations that community service occurs, and I do a lot of my service through those organizations. 28 years ago, actually it said 26, but it's been 28. But that's okay because I've been blessed. I've been blessed to be in one job, one employer for 28 years. And to know that I came there from an HBCU. I came there from an HBCU, a small HBCU in Arkansas, no more than 2,500 students. And at the HBCU, one thing we do know in the onset is that in addition to being good, you have to be twice as good. So our instructors, they prepare us for challenges that aren't always taught in textbooks. So we know coming out that, there are going to be obstacles that we have to overcome, but, with faith, with courage, with confidence, with education, anything is possible. My path took me through Little Rock, Arkansas, a small town. I graduated from a high school commonly known for its role in integration. During 1957, there were 9 black students who had to be escorted by the National Guard in order to get an opportunity to, have better, my leg is shaking, I'm sorry, have better opportunities for an education. So I'm proud to say that in 1987, I graduated from a high school that in 1957, black people couldn't attend. So I feel blessed. I feel blessed. I know I don't fit the profile of a legend, but I think one of the reasons I was selected is because it shows inspiration to others that no matter your background, your situation, your upbringing, the town you came from, where you went to school, as long as you have the right mindset and the outlook, anything is possible. So in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, if I cannot do great things, I can do a small thing in a great way. I feel that what I do is small, but it's in a big way. So standing on the shoulders of giants, I license intellectual property for NASA. And that property, that intellectual property is patented inventions. And so NASA creates a research and development that's used to explore space. That same R&D can be used to create products that improve life here on Earth. So I create collaborations with entities in academia and government so that they could utilize NASA's intellectual property to create things like the camera in your cell phone. That's a NASA invention. So a company had an idea to use that camera in a cell phone. So we're able to take selfies now. Another example is memory foam in our shoes, in our mattresses. That's the same memory foam that cushions the astronauts. So a company had an idea to use that to create mattresses, now known as Tempur-Pedic. So standing on the shoulders of giants, I use NASA's platform to inspire students, telling them how I came to a place that I didn't think would be interested in me because I didn't have a technical background. But we sell ourselves short when we limit our opportunities because of what we perceive as our limits. Because NASA needed business people. They need business people to talk science and technology and communicate opportunities to others. So I put on my NASA logo and I talk to students, especially students who feel insufficient, like they don't have the resources necessary to do what their friends are doing. I encourage them to never give up. I'm standing here in front of you as living proof that opportunities do exist. And I think the committee selected me because they've lit a fire. They've lit a fire for me to do more, for me to show my face wearing a logo that kids recognize so that they can aspire and achieve. So I thank you for this award.
congratulations again, Antoinette, and thank you for your inspiration. Wasn't it fascinating to learn about all the practical applications of her work? Well, it's been said that health is our greatest wealth, and now we are going to present the English Higgins Award in Health and Medicine. So please welcome back to the stage legend Norma Callender, class of 2019 Joyner Strouder Award for Community Service.
You know what, Dr. Anderson? I am very pleased to award you this English Higgins Award. And if you had an office open right now, I may ask for an appointment. It's been one of those hard days for me. Dr. Anderson, and I don't know how I miss you all of these years. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the audience who have had the honor and the privilege of actually being checked out by you. Dr. Anderson has had a long, wonderful career as a medical doctor, a board certified in internal medicine and cardiovascular diseases. And again, I'm going to ask you to please read his bio because it's very impressive. And in the interest of time and allowing him the opportunity to talk for himself, I will just abbreviate some of his wonderful accomplishments. Dr. Anderson, in 1970 to 71, was a first-year medical resident, Stanford University medical student at Stanford. From 71 to 72, he was a staff physician at Drew Health Medical Center. From 73 to 75, he was a fellow in cardiology. In 75 to 1990, he was a clinical instructor of medicine at Stanford University. I'm skipping through this, like I say, abbreviating. From 1975 to 77, he was a staff cardiologist at Harold D. Chope Community Hospital in San Mateo. Significant accomplishments I will also abbreviate, but I implore you to read his bio. Dr. Anderson was one of the first African-American interventional cardiologists in Silicon Valley and was involved with his partners in developing and testing new devices used in interventional cardiology while performing angioplasties and coronary stenting using various vascular closing devices. While involved in a state-of-the-art technical procedures, he was still able to develop the reputation of being a caring and compassionate physician. There are not too many of those. He was chairman cardiology committee from 1986 to 1991 at Sequoia Hospital. He was a co-director, cardiac catheterization laboratory from 1986 to 1988 at Sequoia. Now I get to the part that I really don't even like to ad-lib on. And when we talk about his creativity, started from nothing that grew into something greater. Dr. Anderson was the first in his family to have finished high school. He knew that he wanted to be a doctor and be able to help the ill. He had the emotional support from his parents and the financial aid from school and organizations to allow him to reach his goal. The journey from inner city Philadelphia to Silicon Valley Cardiovascular Group was not without ups and downs, but it gives our youth hope about what they can achieve. Dr. Anderson states he is best known for his cardiac experience and, again, his bedside manners. His philosophy in life: the harder you work, the luckier you'll be. Treat people as you would wish to be treated. The advice Dr. Anderson has for students on a journey of life today: choose areas that fit your aptitude and that support your passion. Make sure you balance your work life with exercise. Spend time with family and friends and helping others when possible. It gives me again great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Edward T. Anderson, MD.
Wow. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I want to thank the awards committee, the nominations committee, and all of the honorees, the guests, friends, and family. This is very special for me. That introduction was very moving, to say the least. But it sort of sums up what I feel right now. I attended the first induction ceremony in 2015 when it wasn't held at this particular venue, but I was really impressed with the people who received the award. And never did I think that I would be up here or any stage receiving this award. I've received a lot of awards, but this is sort of the pinnacle for me, and I want to thank you. My story, as you heard, is that I was born in Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, in a low-income, working-class neighborhood, and my parents were not able to finish high school because of the requirements that they had at home with their families, that their parents had passed away. And when I was born, they said that after a number of years, 5 years, that when I was asked by their friends, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And at 5, I said I wanted to be a doctor. Not knowing what the requirements were, not knowing the financial costs, and not knowing that the odds were stacked against me. But my parents were very supportive and loving, and Mom was a maid, Dad was a window washer. And they just said, we'll work more jobs and make it happen. Fortunately, I had scholarships, and I played sports and was able to get the help that I needed. But as was mentioned, there's a lot of hurdles through those years, and there were times when I was thinking that this was more than I could handle. But I had the support, my loving wife, my children, and friends who are here today. And I stuck with it, and made it happen. And I want to thank those people who are in the audience today who have also worked to help me. And my roommate from medical school was here, and to support me came out from the East Coast. And without that kind of support, this wouldn't happen. My daughters, and I want to thank my mentors, both Doctors Lockhart, who is here today, and Dr. White, who passed away. But when I came out to California, they were the ones who kind of welcomed me and set examples for me how to be a caring physician, because they set the standard. Last but not least, I want to thank my parents, Bertha and Charles. I wish they could be here today, because I think they'd be very proud. So, thank you, committee. I will cherish this forever.
Congratulations again, Dr. Anderson. And I believe, and you can probably feel in the spirit, don't you feel that so many parents, in whatever dimension they are also so proud of their children tonight? I just think we know that love exists in so many dimensions. And Dr. Anderson mentioned that there were times when he wondered if he could continue. And I just want to speak a word of encouragement to anyone tonight who's also experiencing that. The love in this room, the support, the testimonies here are a powerful witness to the fact that dreams, despite the sacrifice and the challenges, do come true. So keep on, keep going. You're not alone. We're with you.
Absolutely. Keep on pushing. So the next award is the Hardeman Sweet Award, and how sweet it is. Law and Justice. Yeah, we need more law, and we damn sure do need some justice.
Word.
Legend Vera Y is here to present that. She's from the class of 2015, and congratulations again for 35 years of what you've done, young lady.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm proud to present the award, the Hardeman Sweet Award, Law and Justice, to Ulysses C. Beasley. I'll do some highlights of Mr. Beasley's illustrious career. He was born in Arkansas City, Arkansas, and came to Silicon Valley in 1996. He served as a social worker in Fresno, a police officer in Fresno, and deputy district attorney, Santa Clara County. He completed an amateur boxing career. He was the first African-American district attorney in Santa Clara County. Can we clap it up for that? All right. He is remembered as an advocate for compassion, fairness, and justice. He was a charter member of the Black Lawyers of Santa Clara County, an active member of the NAACP, a life member, and member of the 100 Black Men of Fresno. He received the District Attorney Distinguished Service Award, Mayoral Commendation from Mayor Tom McHenry, and President's Award San Jose City College for outstanding service and assistance. Creativity, starting from nothing and grew into greater, he never forgot his humble beginnings in the town of Arkansas City, and he returned each year for his elementary class reunion. He served on the board of administrators for Emmanuel Baptist Church. His philosophy of life, make a difference in the world, even if it is a small deed. May the work that I've done speak for me. The advice he would give a student, all that is expected of you is for you to do your best. And remember, learning never stops. Remember the words of the poet Stephen Gillette? We pass this way but once. Any good that therefore can be done, or any kindness that can be shown to any human being, do it now. Do not defer or neglect it, for we will not pass this way again. Words so true. And accepting for him is Mark Beasley.
I'm not used to this. My folks got me started with speaking out in front of other people with family prayer. So first I want to say that my sons, Ulysses and Rio, and my wife, Alejandra, and my daughter, Isabel, this is what it's all about, babies. This is what it's all about. If my father was here, he would say thank you. Now I wrote this down so I wouldn't mess up. They said you got 3 minutes, right? If he was here, he would say thank you. Then he would turn to my mom, who left us last year to be with him, and say, Rose, Rose, Rose. Look what we've done here, Rose. Because my father always had it, and I've heard it of several times up here tonight, you know, strong man, stronger woman. My dad would say that to me all the time. He also said, an intelligent woman makes a man thinks he's intelligent when she knows she's the one in control. You know, so my father, he always credited my mom with everything, and especially with the push for him to be a lawyer. She didn't let him settle to be a police officer, social worker. He also worked for alcohol beverage control when he went to school at night. I gained an uncle I didn't never know I had named Rudy Hoffman. And Uncle Rudy, and he went to night law school, and that's why he was working with alcohol beverage control. And he worked out that. My father saw being a lawyer as a ability to help other people, because he felt being a lawyer was what God commanded him to do. And that's why he helped other people. He had a gift, education, coming from picking cotton in Arkansas, chopping wood, and coming out here and joining the military so he can get out of that lifestyle, sending money home so he and his 3 brothers could all do the same thing and achieve things. He said, it's a blessing. It's a miracle to come that far and end up being the DA, the first black deputy DA of Santa Clara County. My father always had, when he did cases, he would walk the floor late at night. And I would come down and get some water, and I could see him walking the floor. And he would say, I say, how's it going, Dad? And he would say, hey, you know, there's their truth, there's others' truth, and then there's God's truth. And my job is to make sure that I come close to God's truth, because there's no disputing God's truth. And that's how he did his cases. Someone once said to me that his father did a speech in court and closing arguments, and all through the year of my working in probation department, I said, you know, I have always heard the rumors, you know, things said. And one day when I get close to my retirement, I was talking to an attorney on the phone, getting some information, and he said, you're Beasley's son, right? I said, yeah. And I said, let me ask you something. I told him, I said, let me ask. I heard my father say, he got in court one day, and he said, if you hate me because of the color of my skin, what you're really saying is you hate God. Because I didn't create me. God created me, and I am in his image. So what you're really saying is you hate God. The attorney on the other end of the phone got quiet for a moment, and he said, yes, your father did say that. And he said, a pin could have dropped on the moon, and you would have heard it. That's how quiet that courtroom was. And he said he won that case, needless to say. Now my phone's messing up. Anyway. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. This is for my family. My mom, he just really would hand all his accolades they talked about. He would give it to my mom and say, here you go, Rose. And she would put it on the wall, stuff like that, and he just walked past it, because his whole thing was, this is a blessing. And I enjoy what I've done. and I'm continuing to do so. So, hey, Ulysses, Rio, Isabel, I know she's in college right now at Chico State. This is for us to live up to work for, and to be. Yes, thank you.
God's truth indeed. Thank you so much for those words of inspiration. Well, you mentioned the entrepreneurial spirit earlier, and becoming an entrepreneur, I know how important sponsorship is. And an event like this doesn't happen without a lot of support. So I want you to feel free to cheer as we announce the sponsors who've contributed to tonight's event and ongoing to Black Legends. Legend Wilbur Jackson. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. Michelle Jackson and family. Isaac Quinn. These are group sponsors. And we also thank those who've given donations. Legend Hewitt R. Joyner Jr. Legend Vieira Y. Legend Dr. James Lockhart. Our in-kind media sponsors are KBLX 102.9 FM. We did an interview before Black Legends for that. And then, of course, Jazzline on KKUP 91.5 FM. Who hosts that, African? Do you know?
This fellow. I don't like him.
Oh, well, we love him.
Oh, okay.
African, thank you so much
Hey,
for all
my
your
pleasure.
support.
From the
Give
heart.
a round of applause for our sponsors.
So, Sankofa, we need not to forget our past as we live in the present and plan for the future. And we must acknowledge the people who supported us in getting here. The shoulders of giants that you all stood on, the shoulders of giants that they stood on, and the shoulders of giants who will be stood up on in the future. We need to acknowledge all of them, but we also need to, in loving memory, acknowledge those legends who have come and gone.
How's everybody doing? All right, ready for some more Metro Big Band? Okay, please welcome back with applause conductor legend Galvin Jackson, class of 2017.
Oh, he's got his trumper. Watch out.
Just for your information, that's the first time I played it a solo in a couple of years.
Very nice. Nice.
Very
You
nice.
swing that thing. Oh, with your bad self.
Thank you again to Galvin and the Metro Big Band.
Thank you very much. So the next award is the Harris Washington Award, the Spiritual Award. And legend Henrietta Burroughs will come to the stage. She's the recipient of the Alexander Green Award for News and Documentary. And you are back. How you
It's
be?
a night with Henrietta and Vera.
Some of you might remember the saying by Robert Kennedy, Senator Robert Kennedy, President John F. Kennedy's brother, when Senator Kennedy said, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not." Pastor Paul Baines is the type of person that sees things as they are and says, let's do something about them. Let's change these conditions. Let's make people's lives better. I met Pastor Paul, as he's called, more than a decade ago, and this was after he and his brother had created Baines Moving and Storage and Baines Facility Moving, and grew those companies into million-dollar businesses. But Pastor Baines isn't getting the Harris Washington Spiritual Award for his entrepreneurial acumen. He's getting the award for the work he has done to address youth violence, gang prevention, truancy, and homelessness. He is responsible for starting the police chaplaincy program in East Palo Alto, the first and only shelter in East Palo Alto for the homeless, the Dignity on Wheels mobile van, which provides showers, laundry facilities, and restrooms for the homeless. You've undoubtedly seen and heard about people living in recreational vehicles all up and down the peninsula. Well, it was Pastor Baines, Pastor Paul, who started the first RV safe parking program in the Bay Area, perhaps even in the country. And I should add that the Dignity on Wheels mobile van serves the homeless in 4 counties and 14 cities. So you see, Pastor Paul, you can see why he is a living legend who has implemented visions that have changed people's lives. It's time now to recognize Pastor Paul Baines, a living legend.
When someone was speaking earlier, let me set my watch. I'm a Pentecostal preacher. Let me just set this timer here so it'll go off. All right. Takes me 15 minutes to get my engine warm. So when it goes off the first time, I'll just reset it. I am deeply honored to receive this award. To be even in such a cloud of witnesses is remarkable. Dr. White, Dr. Lockhart took care of me. Dr. Frank Green, we moved his company and he would continually move him. Not Dr. Clay, but Mr. Clay. I went to school with his son out of Rodale Electronics, and Loretta Green and Bill Green was our first lawyer to have us when we had our Baines Moving Services and then Baines Facilities Management. But first, I want to thank God. I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I want to thank all those that helped shape me and mold me to be what I am today. I want to thank God for my daughters, one who's already graduated, Marche, and three that are in Azusa Pacific University right now that all flew in for this moment. I love you all. And my future son-in-law and co-worker. I want to thank God for my wife, because without her, none of this would be possible. For she's been my wife for 27 years, and she's my queen, my Nubian princess, my Nubian queen, and those are my princesses over there. This award, while I have received all kind of awards, congregational awards, state awards, county awards, city awards, they weren't from my people. So this award is so special to me to be acknowledged and recognized from the African American, the black, the Negro, the colored, from whatever genre you came, whatever generation you came from. This means the world to me and to those who are like me. My father came here with 2 quarters in his pocket from Texas, and he found 2 jobs that very same day. He always taught all 8 of his kids to control your own destiny. And so all 8 of us, 4 boys, 4 girls, still 6 of us living, we all have owned our own businesses at one time or another. Some are doctors and others are entrepreneurs. And he would say more than you can do. No, bite off more than you can chew and say more than you can do and do it. And I'm like, well, Dad, how can you do that, you know? He'd say, shoot among the stars, fall among the clouds, and still be above high ground. But always remember where you came from, and don't make up excuses, because an excuse is nothing but a reason wrapped up in a lie. And so Dad taught us foundational things, and he was a self-taught man, and my mother from Louisiana, him from Corpus Christi, Sunnyside, Texas, they taught us good work ethics. And never, never think that you cannot accomplish anything in life, no matter what odds are stacked against you. And in the words in my closing, because my buzzer's going off for those 3 minutes, Maya Angelou said that people won't always remember what you said, and they may not even remember always what you've done, but they will remember how you made them feel. And we have a saying in our company that none of us is as strong as all of us. And when we come up against something, we never retreat, we only reload. And so I want to encourage all of those, and I want to honor our fellow recipients, that when we do come up against those challenges, those struggles, those racism, the prejudice, and I have to give you this thing. The statistical information in California is that we make up 6% of the population, but we make up 48%, 43% of the prison population. So there's something systemically wrong with the systems, as we know. And the homeless population, even here in Santa Clara County, we make up less than 6% of the population. But in the homelessness, we make up 49% of the homelessness. So there's something systemically wrong. And so, again, it will take all of us to make this high tide float for all people. And I just encourage us, let us all work together from different nationalities, ethnicities, socioeconomic status to address the systemic issues in the various marginalized communities from which we either live in or where we came from. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Paul. Those are sobering statistics, but again, the clarion call is for us to work together to do more so that all can continue to rise. Our next award is the Joyner Strouder Award for Community Service, and the presenter of this award is Legend Norma Callender, class of 2019, who received this award last year. Let's welcome her back to the stage.
And that hat. Gotta say it one more again.
Yes.
Yes.
I am truly honored again to present this award to someone I knew and worked with who was a foot soldier for many, many years here in San Jose. I remember my first PAC meeting. In case you have forgotten what PAC stands for, PAC, the Political Action Committee was at Alum Rock School, in Alum Rock School District, and Betty Ann Howard invited me to come to that meeting with her. Among other things, Betty was known throughout this valley as a champion of child care. Betty worked at IBM before she became this champion in Silicon Valley. She was on the Black Council of Santa Clara County as director of the high school dropout program. Betty started her career in child care as a recreational program director and preschool teacher. She encouraged and was encouraged by her boss, who many of you knew when he was around, Bill Williams. She felt that in addition to providing a quality child care program, she could work and go to school. It was important to give preschool children the best start possible for future success in school. Betty committed countless hours to support the local schools, teachers, and most importantly, our students. She served on various schools and district-level committees and was a founding member of the Alum Rock Educational Foundation. Significant accomplishments that are remembered by her beautiful granddaughter, or that Betty was an example of women of strength, of grace, power, and love for her family. I know that to be true. Betty's involvement in the Corner Neighborhoods Action Council, Cassell Neighborhood Initiative, San Juan Bautista Child Development, also she served as a board member. She was a founder and board member of Concerned Parents in the community of Alum Rock. Getting back to creativity started from nothing that grew into something greater. She was a woman that wanted change for her community and children. She started with her voice, which made a great impact. Her co-worker quoted her as a woman who spoke softly but carried a big stick. That is true. Her involvement and dedication to her family and children and neighborhood and community are elements she was best known for. Betty's philosophy of life, believe it, because when you believe it, you will achieve it. The advice she would have given to students of today who are on their journey of life: it takes time and dedication to accomplish things you are worth fighting for. Don't give up. People that don't know any better will talk. Let them do just that. Talk. Your purpose is greater than the chitter-chatter. I am uniquely honored to bring forward Betty's granddaughter, Marilyn Randolph, a well-known author in her own right in this valley. Please come forward, Betty.
I just want to say this is my father, my grandmother's only begotten son, and I could not be up here without him beside me.
Yeah, she drugged me up here. I'm a little nervous about being here, so nothing prepared. But I do want to say this, that when my mother passed away, as you can imagine, I missed her greatly.
My grandmother was a great woman.
I broke every 15 minutes for months. Then it was an hour, and then I would break. Then 2 hours would go by, and then I would break. And then all of a sudden, one day I started to realize that as I started paying more attention to Marilyn, how much of my mother was still here. She's tireless, she's loyal, and she will defend what's hers with a level of veracity that is unmatched by any other. Being my mother's only child, it was both a blessing and a curse. The blessing was that I received a tremendous amount of love. The curse was that when I experienced her wrath, that stick got even bigger. It was usually a switch, but. So the only thing that I would say, I think I'd like to say it to Marilyn. And the one thing that I remember about your grandmother was that she told me not to run to this finish line, but to always run through it. So I love you.
I told myself I wasn't going to cry, that I was just going to try to hold it in. But I'm so grateful. My grandmother was a great woman, and she distilled in me so much. She started her daycare. I know I heard a lot of people talk about early childhood, but she started her daycare in 1984. And she taught me how to provide care for children throughout the community, too. I just closed the daycare this month, and I was like, oh, Lord, why would I? Maybe I should stay, maybe I should continue to do it. But God reassured me that her legacy would live on. I planted certain things that will continue on her legacy. I have the Betty Howard Memorial Scholarship Fund, where it helps early childhood educational students at San Jose City College. And then I applied for this award for her because I wanted her legacy to live on. And then I coach other providers, not only just wrote a book. She had showed me from a child being in African dance and being involved in a community and going to San Juan Bautista, and her just planting so many seeds inside of me. Today I stand here as a human rights commissioner of Santa Clara County and inspiring and encourage women that have been human trafficked, and all these things that my grandmother has placed in me, that I continue on helping my community, my church, my family. I'm so grateful that my husband is here today. My son is here today. My dad's wife, my stepmother, my stepmother, wherever she is, and my brother. I'm just so honored to be even here, and Dave Cortese, for him to come and show honor to my grandmother. It's just an amazing thing, and I thank all these legends. Some of you I know, some I don't, but just to see you guys and for the torch to be passed, or the light to be passed, or, you know, whatever you said. But my grandmother gave me the baton, and I carry on in her honor and her legacy. Thank you.
This has been a powerful evening. What do y'all think? Yeah? Come on, give it up.
I know, so heartfelt and touching and inspirational.
Yes. and we're
So
gonna-
glad we're all here. How many glad you're here tonight? Amen.
Yes. So we're getting close to the end of this.
I know.
So let's
Got two more awards.
the art, theater, and music.
All things that I love.
Man.
Yes.
Did you ever break dance?
No. I salsa'd, I did a whole bunch of things, but not, all right.
Yeah, I've been broke.
Viera
but I
has,
never-
has changed her outfit once more.
Yes.
She's
you
back
go.
on stage. Legend Viera Y to present the Piper Y Award.
All right, this is my last presentation. I'm out of costumes
We're
and
enjoying
earrings.
them, you know?
Okay. It's indeed my pleasure to present this last award in Piper in my name to posthumously to Cassetta Gray Quinn. She was near and dear to my heart. Cassetta opened up her home to us several times, that is Tabia, for us to use her home to take pictures and to rehearse, and she was a friend of Tabia and one of mine. So she was born in Bigelow, Arkansas, lots of Arkansas folks. Moved to the Bay Area in 1967. She was my soror, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority member, and a Link sister, Pacific Bay Area chapter of the Links. Her profession's career spans 65 years as an artist, author, and art educator at elementary, middle schools, and colleges. Her professions placed her in Arkansas, Kansas, California, and Africa. She frequently volunteered her time and talent at community and cultural events. Beginning in 1953, she taught at elementary and junior high schools in Arkansas and Kansas. She taught African art history at San Jose State University, art history, and English. In the Cupertino Union School District, art history at the University of California, Berkeley Extension, African art, and Cross. Her significant accomplishments in the Silicon Valley: she is the author of California's Keeping Culturally Connected, which was the catalog for a major exhibit she curated at the California History Center that depicted objects meaningful to African Americans. The book became an important monograph. She was a finalist for the Silicon Valley 100 Black Women of Excellence. Her creativity: at De Anza College, she fostered community participation in an annual celebration of Yaba Soar, Path of the Ancestors, which honored community achievers, which she also honored me with that recognition. She also sponsored the Day of the African Child, which included a day of video conferencing with African institutions, faculty, and students, and she organized and curated art exhibits for Black History Month at Foothill College. Besides De Anza, she curated art shows at the UFRAT Museum, the YWCA, and the Cultural Center, both in Palo Alto. One of her paintings is in the Governor's Mansion in Sacramento. She was an accomplished artist, having created captivating images on canvas, most famously her 1984 Sunday Morning at Bethel oil of her rural Arkansas church. She was a docent at 4 prestigious San Francisco museums. She was also a respected member of the Board of Trustees of the UFRAT Gallery in San Jose and the California History Center Foundation of De Anza. In addition, she was an art collector and gallery co-owner of Mbari African Arts with her husband, Isaac, whom she married in 1953. She was a valued member of St. Mark AME Zion Church in East Palo Alto. Her philosophy of life: you can be anything you want to be and do anything you want to do. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't, and don't allow them to define your limits. The advice she would give to students: every tub must sit on its own bottom. Don't expect that someone else will do it for you. The things that you should do, do for yourself. I present this in accepting her husband, Isaac.
to our Almighty God, Director Aaron Hicks, Awards Committee, past awardees, and tonight's inductees, and all attendants. You see this big bit of paper. I'm not going to read all of it. But I did ask Aaron for a little extra time. And I noticed that one presenter wasn't here, so I hope I can use that time. But some of them were very short. I'd like to have that extra time they didn't use. But this being the middle of Black History Month, I remember that when this time, or this month rolled around, me and my late wife, Cosetta, would love to listen over and over to one of the greatest speeches that were ever written, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech. And I would get choked up. We would get choked up and hug each other and said that God, that was our Moses. And, you know, I was trying to work on something to say because I had been to the luncheon and I said, these are truly some legends from all of them that I heard and what they did and what they meant to do. So I wrote, scratched stuff out and tried again. Then I fell asleep. And in that sleep, I had a dream. I had a dream that we were there together. And I said, because I'm struggling, I'm trying to write something that would let people know how, on a personal level, the type of person you were, your family, what kind of family you had, your upbringing from such humble beginnings. So what can I do? She said, well, you know, personal, yes, Dr. King's speech was great, but it was short. And that scared me even more. I said, Lord, can I boil this down? She did so many things, and she touched the lives of so many people, so what can I do? She said, remember, whatever I did, it was a composite of what other people and my family did for me. Reverend Baines, your son and his wife, Patricia, I believe that was her name, they used to live about 4 or 5 doors down the street from us. And your company moved us from where we were renting into our present home. So, and I'm just amazed at the connection that I know about hearing all these people from Arkansas, as we said, fellow Arkies. And some of them belong to my wife's sorority and links together and all that. It's unbelievable. And Vieira. I had that written down. I want to say something about Vieira because I love her so and came to the house. So she's already told you about that. So what I want to say to you, Vieira, when is going to be that next production of Lady Day? Yeah, I'm looking forward to another one of those. And Reverend Baines and all the other awardees, I was so inspired by the things that you said and the things that you did, your outreach programs, and all of that. And I even said, what in the world can you do with all these wonderful people that I pay you the proper respect and pay them the proper respect? And she said, well, you know, my family had a very deep, strong Christian background. My father was a Sunday school superintendent for like about 60 years. And out in the rural farm that she grew up on, they have what they call a circuit minister that would come maybe not every Sunday, but maybe every 2 weeks. And inevitably, her father would get the job of hosting the pastor when he came and the presiding elder. So she said, and also, I think I did something that inspired a few people, because when I painted my little rural church Sunday morning at Bethel, the title of this painting, Bethel AME Church, where her father was such a friend, say, I've heard so many people say, that looks like the church I grew up in. And they were inspired by that. You know, the rural South, it's unique. And then I said, well, you know, all of the inductees, they have such sterling credentials, academic credentials, and all of that. You know, it's wonderful. Like she said, well, you know, my brother, H.O. Gray, he graduated magna cum laude. Oh, yeah, that's right. And he's a microbiologist at Pine Bluff Arsenal, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And she said, and I had one of my first cousins was summa cum laude, and I had a PhD now and everything. And I said, well, that's right. I kind of forgot about that. And she said, you know, me and you, we have the best degrees of all. We have a thank you, Lottie. And we also have a lot of people to thank. And that's what's going to take most of my time, because it's hard. It's hard to work them all in. How much time do I have? Let me see. Look, let me see. Loretta Green. Again, she nominated Cosetta. I didn't even know this organization existed. She nominated Cosetta, and I gave her the materials, and she wrote up some impressive things, and the committee thought it was worthwhile to give my wife this award. Thank you, Loretta. Greg Davis, he's her brother cousin, I call him. He's actually a cousin, but they were like brothers and sisters. And Greg financed the first series of reproductions of her artwork paintings called Generation to Generation series, that kind of chronicling from the young up to the older age members of the community and family. Greg, I don't know how I'm going to pay you back, man, but all those things you haven't sold, I'm going to have to give to the museum. Jean Libby, thank you. Jean Libby did the photographs and because of his book, Californians Keeping Culturally Connected. Marion Page, one of my in-laws, was on one of her Yabasori panels. And he's an entomologist. And when he comes around, we have outdoor things together at the house. You can't see an insect nowhere. They heard Marion was coming. They left. So let me see, Charlotte Kelly. Charlotte did support Cosetta in everything she did, well, both of us. And her florals and everything else. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Libby. Aaron. Two quick things.
I got it for you.
Okay. The last thing I want to say is that in high school, in order to finish her home economics project, which was to make a dress or a blouse or something, she didn't have the money. Her father told her, go to the principal, Mr. Hyman King, and tell him I said to loan you $5. She did so, got the $5, bought the material, finished her project, and years later when she got a chance to go back, she went, Mr. King, I want to pay you back your $5. And of course, he refused. He said, pass it on. So I want to say to all of you, thank you so much, and pass it on.
Thank you, Isaac, on behalf of Cosetta Quinn. We love you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again. Well, as you come in for the evening, you know which legends are receiving certain awards, but our last award of the evening is one that's a mystery. It is our Community Organization Award, and here with breaking news, welcome back to the stage, Chairman Aaron Hicks, Jr. I was wondering when you were going to play those.
We're on the last mile. So give me a couple of minutes. I have one more award to give out, but a little housekeeping. Souvenir booklets are still out there to be purchased, have the history. We're working on something real special in the summer, and I'll keep you all posted on something where we're going to immortalize all these legends in a kind of history book. But I'll tell you more about that as we go. And something else to know about. The question is, how do we find these legends? You find the legends for us. You nominate the legends. We check them out. Not really check them out. We try to get them to complete the application, and then the legends vote on it. This evening now we have 72 legends. Can you get a round of applause for our legends today? Because this is our community, who we are and what we represent. So let's pass it on and keep it moving. At this time, I'm going to give out the Community Organization Award. This award goes to, I've been talking too much. 5 organizations were nominated for this award, and they are Community Alphas, NCWB, Deltas, the Links, and DeBia. So how this selected, all the legends voted, and our Community Organization Award for the year goes to
now you don't have the drum, you don't beat it. Vera.
Yes!
It's after all tonight.
Yeah, I didn't have another costume for this. Tabia is part of the San Jose Multicultural Artists Guild, so if you're confused with the name. Can I have all my Tabia folks come up here with me? Because this really is about our organization.
Congratulations to Tabia, 35 years.
So I was hoping that my fellow legends would make this happen, and they did. So I prepared. This is my Academy Award moment. So I'll be quick, and I read fast. I know it's been a long evening. For those of you that supported us at our 35th anniversary reception at the Martin Luther King Library, we have that exhibition going on the whole month of February. So please go check it out if you get a chance. It's a beautiful journey of our experience for the past 35 years in this community. Lots of the stuff that's been in my garage for 35 years, amazing enough. So please, come on over. Please go check it out. And it's also your history, because we brought programs to the community over the past 30 years. Our children, we've had many people go into the business, have been educated, have had communication skills developed because of what Tabia has done. So I'm going to read this really quickly. Some of this you can see online because my brother Milan posted some of this, but it's a lot shorter. So I just want to make sure I recognize everyone. 35 years. It's been a wonderful, challenging, and frustrating, exciting, and deeply moving journey. Tabia is committed to present Black American culture without apology, celebrating and embracing the spirit of a people and boldly sharing it with the world. Tabia has produced plays that are provocative and meaningful, and whether through comedy or drama, touch the soul. Tabia means talented in Swahili, and along with my other founding members, Adaku Davis, Ann Johnson, Arlene Sagun, Robert Parker, and Rudy Morris, we formed Tabia in the summer of 1985. And to them, Tabia's core ensemble members, our board members, supporters, patrons, and friends, and my dear sons who have shared me with the community, I say thank you from the deepest center of my heart. I have led Tabia with a few principles of strength and wisdom instilled in me by my mom and siblings to guide my work, and they are still my mottos today. Where there is a will, there is a way. And if you're going to do it right. Good enough isn't good enough. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and to thine own self be true. These values have been my anchor in all I do in life and in leading Tabia to 35 years of success and impacting the community. Many of you have marched along this journey with us through ups and downs, through weariness and great joy to bring us to this point. Tabia's mission is to unite and serve communities by conducting cross-cultural arts programming reflective of the experience of African Americans, women, and Chicanos. We have brought diverse cultural groups together for a long time, celebrating similarities and differences. We have staged programs that don't shy away from meaningful social justice and topical issues. We have continued to provide quality, affordable, and professional theater. One of our favorite quotes is Maya Angelou's, "We are more than keepers of our brothers and sisters. We are our brothers and sisters." We will remain passionate about our work to unite and educate and celebrate community and culture. Remember to take time and give time to others. And rather than the standard break a leg they say in the theater, we say, take wings. I leave you with these words. As you travel through life, remember in August Wilson's words, you have to take the crookeds with the straights. Thank you for sharing in our world. We ask that the Master Spirit continue to unify us and don't divide us. Thank you to Aaron and the Black Legend Committee, the previous recipients, and to each of you for this incredible honor. I am truly appreciative and humbled and overjoyed. We look forward to your continued support to help us do what we do for you. Thank you. Blessings.
Congratulations. Congratulations once again. And I want to mention you can also see more about Tabia on an upcoming show.
Well, we're at the end of the evening. I want to give a few thanks. Thanks to our hosts. Thank you. I want to thank our escort. Where did she go? Yolanda? She has been walking around in a circle all night. To the Metro Big Band, can we get a round of applause? And Galvin always tells folks that he's the youngest man in the room. See, you ignored me. But with all that, we want to thank our planning committee, thank all those that work for it, but mainly I want to thank you for coming out tonight. And if I don't, be remiss if I don't get myself out of trouble by saying, thanking my wife for letting me do all this work. So I'm going to turn it over to our host to close out the program, but if anything you need, let us know. If you want our story to be told, we have to tell our story. If you want us to continue this journey, we need your support. So support us the best you can in our ways. And another advertisement, all the photos we're taking can be found online on our website, because for title production, we'll make those available to you. The individual photos are group photos, so we got that. And we are immediately planning for next year. And thanks for all the legends. Thanks for all the wisdom. Thanks for the strength, and thanks for the guidance to keep us moving. And we will continue to build this museum. Check it out. History is your history. Let's go.
All right.
Let's go indeed. And Aaron Hicks, another round of applause for all the work
Yeah,
that he does.
definitely want
The
to
leadership. I
thank
remember-
Aaron for what he.
Yes.
Aaron, don't just walk away just yet, man, because look, someone crosses the I's and dots the T's, or dots the I's and cross the T's. That's Aaron doing that. That's why we're here 5 years later with 5 classes. So let's give him a thunderous round of applause for what he has done. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So very important.
I know, it's hard to believe. Remember 2015 and now 2020.
Wow.
We thank you so much for this. We've heard so much tonight that is inspiring. We want to remember strength and unity, collaboration, not competition, and please get out and vote.
And the word to leave out tonight is abundance. There is enough for everyone. There is no shortage of anything. Get home safely. Thank you for being here tonight, and a special shout out to you youngsters who are in this room tonight, because you are our future. This thing ends if you don't get on board. So thank you. Thank you.
We will not let it end. We look to you. Thank you so much once again. I'm Janice Edwards.
African Jamal Davis.
Blessings to you, and we leave you now with Metro Big Band. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.